Hi, this is Lee Ferguson from the biology space, and this video is notebook organizational tools. You learned before how to add bookmarks and ties to shut your notebook. You also learned how to add pockets to hold items inside your notebook. So let's talk about what we're going to learn in this short video. In this video, you'll learn the usefulness of cover sheets, how to add tabs to stay organized, and how to add Ziploc bags to hold loose items in your interactive notebook. Organization matters. It should go without saying that you should keep a notebook of your own. If you don't keep a notebook as the teacher, number one, it's going to be impossible for you to know where in the notebook students should be. Number two, it's also going to be hard to get buy-in from your students. I know with my students, I teach primarily seniors in high school, and for a lot of these students, an interactive notebook just seems like a scrapbook, and I try very hard to impart to them that it is so much more than that. And so one of the very first things I did when I first started using these 5 years ago is I made sure I set up a notebook of my own. And I've kept one right alongside my students ever since then, and that helps tremendously with the buy-in, but it also helps my students to stay organized. And I'll talk more about that in another video. Keep your notebook organized and teach students how to do the same with theirs. If you have your own notebook, it makes it much easier to model this behavior for them. An organization within the notebook can be accomplished in several different ways. Number one, you can use cover sheets. You can also use tabs, number two. And then three, Ziploc bags for loose items like flashcards can be utilized. So let's talk about cover sheets and why those are important. Cover sheets are what they sound like they are. They can be used to separate units from one another, which is how I utilize them. It also helps keep students organized in chronological order, and we'll talk more about chronological order versus left side, right side order, which a lot of people do with their interactive notebooks. The cover sheets can also help the students to frame the unit before they begin. You should use these as a teaching tool. As you can see here, my cover sheets tend to contain collages that include diagrams of things that we're going to study during that unit. I know that some of my own students use their cover sheets as ways to review kind of what they've learned during the unit, and some of them aren't fancy at all. You can also attach tabs to the cover sheet for additional organization. And as you see here, the cover sheets can be as simple or as elaborate as you would like. I have some students that draw their cover sheets in by hand. Some of them just simply write the name of the unit. Others make collages. I use a program on my Mac called Diptych to generate collages of diagrams that I pull from the internet. Another way that you can stay organized is by adding tabs to your notebook. And let's talk about that. The value of tabs is that they, again, are a great organizational tool. They help organize sections of the notebook and make them visible. This is really helpful if your organization of the notebook is chronologic rather than left-right sided, as you see here. You can use pre-made tabs, as I do, or you can make your own. The first couple of years that I kept notebooks with my students, I made my own by simply just cutting index cards and folding them in half and writing the name of the unit on the index card. But now what I do is I actually buy pre-made tabs from the Container Store. They come in multiple colors. I keep a set for my students on my desk so that at any time during the year, if they need to section off their notebooks, they're more than welcome to grab those off my desk and use them as they like. Finally, let's talk about adding a Ziploc bag to the inside of your notebook. Sometimes your subject area may call for flashcards that are used repeatedly over and over again, or you may have sticky dots that you keep to have kids label things in notebooks. And so a Ziploc bag can help you manage these sorts of loose items, especially if there's something that you want your students to keep with them all year long. And so what you see here is basically a freezer bag that's been taped inside the notebook. You can tape in as many of these or as few of these as you need. What I've done here is that I've taped a freezer bag to the inside cover of the first notebook. Remember that I taped two notebooks together, And so I've taped this Ziploc bag to the back cover of the first notebook. I taped this particular bag under the zipper itself, so when you try to slide your hand in, it's not going to open all the way. But notice that the things I'm putting in here are very flat. I'm not trying to pump up the volume of my notebook by adding in things that are very large. Additionally, you can tape the Ziploc bag to the notebook, but then that also kind of causes your Ziploc bag to flop around a little bit more than you might like. And so this is another way to keep things organized in the notebook that might be used repeatedly throughout the school year. So the next video in the series is going to be setting up your notebook for use. And so I hope that you learned a lot, and I look forward to teaching you next time.